So this week we're doing Code Builder and coding with your agent. So periodically I'll ask if you have any questions, so feel free to pipe in with questions. If you don't have a working microphone, feel free to type in the chat, the meeting chat, any questions you might have about what we're doing. So today I'm going to go to the Code Builder tutorial world, which is freely available for anyone to download on the Minecraft Education Edition website, or you can do it through the game itself. So I've just opened Education Edition this afternoon. If you click on play and then go to view library, this is the library of worlds that anyone can download. And if you type in code, the Code Builder tutorial world will pop up. So you will need the internet access to be able to download that world to your device. And I've already downloaded it earlier. So if I open that world, that template that someone else has built, it's a great one to run your kids through to help them learn how to use the agent, or you can run through it yourself. There is quite a bit of reading on this one. So for younger students, it's good to guide them through the world, even though it does, and let the kids who get onto it quickly, you can let them move at their own pace as well. So this is what the world starts off like, little room. And this thing here is your agent. So it's just like a little robot that appears in the Minecraft world that you can control only through coding. You can also control a few other things with coding, but we'll get to that in a minute. This is the main thing that you'll be using when you start coding with Code Builder. So everyone's agent will have their username .agent as their name. So you can't really, that's just its automatic name when it first comes into the world. And there's also, last week we were talking about non-player characters. So there's a non-player character here called Royal Messenger. And if we click on that messenger, it tells us to get started, we need to press the C key to open the Code Builder part of Minecraft. The other thing you can do is touch the agent icon at the top of your screen. So if you're in iPad, sorry, I'll just come out here. So if I push on C, it brings up the Code Builder app or add-on, I guess, to Minecraft. So Code Builder is unique to Minecraft Education Edition. It's not part of the original Minecraft. So even if you have kids who are Minecraft whizzes at home, they won't have any experience with Code Builder itself. If you've had kids coding with Scratch or Blockly, it's very, very similar to that. So if your kids are really good at that, they'll pick this up really, really quickly. So under My Projects is any saved code you might have. So kids or yourself, you can save projects and come back to them at a later time. You can actually edit your projects online just through a web browser as well, or through the game. There's also a bunch of inbuilt tutorials here that you can get your kids to use to, even if you haven't downloaded this world, this map, you can still run through the tutorials through Code Builder itself. So these are really great ones to run through to learn how to, for yourself, to learn how to do your agent. So in half an hour, you're not going to be able to practice your own skills. So it's good. I highly recommend just choosing 2 or 3 of these little tutorials. We'll do one today so you can see what they're like, and just getting a handle on how the agent works. So I am going to do one of my favorite, which is Chicken Rain, which Stephen introduced me to. So if I click on Start Tutorial, it's the Code Builder app, but it's guiding me through each step of the way. So what we're going to do is rename the on-chat command. Instead of run, we're going to say chicken. This means if I type chicken into the text chat, it'll start my code. So just like Scratch or Blockly, this is drag and drop. So I need to drag from the menu on the left, click on run and change it to chicken. Click on chat command, name to chicken. And you can see for the tutorial, it has limited my choices to only what I need in order to complete this tutorial. Otherwise, if you're just starting, the choices of what you can do can be overwhelming, just like in Scratch. So place a spawn block to spawn a chicken in your position. So we want to spawn a chicken. So you can see as I click and drag, if I hover over where I want to put the block, there'll be like a little yellow highlight. And if I let go, that is where the block will click in, just like in Scratch. Now, if you want to delete a block or you've made a mistake, you just click and hold and drag the block over to the left where the bin is and let go to delete. Sometimes the people don't know how to delete things because it's not entirely obvious. So we want to spawn. Now we need to choose an animal to spawn. So we want to spawn animal. We'll just do a random animal. We want to do chicken. So we've chosen the chicken egg. You can choose from any of the animal eggs, but we'll choose chickens. And the 000 refers to the XYZ coordinates. So 000 is relative to where we are, we being the player, and we are at 000 or origin. So really good for doing some maths is the coding. Yep, and we want to spawn the chicken 10 blocks above our head, which means we need to put the Y coordinate at positive 10 to be in the sky to make chicken rain. All right, so hopefully if we go back here and we press T to open our chat and type in chicken, we'll get some chickens appearing. Oh, now notice we only had one chicken appearing. Now the kids are going to say my code is broken. That's the most common response. But in actual fact, the code is doing exactly what I told it to because I didn't tell it to do more than once. So if I push on C to reopen the code builder, I want to loop this, let's say, let's go for 10 chickens. You can do infinite, but I don't want to break the game. Now it's only going to loop or repeat the instructions inside the green bracket that you can see there. So at the moment, if I run the code again, I'm only going to get one chicken because I haven't told the repeat loop is empty. So if I drag the purple up inside the green, now it's going to repeat this instruction 10 times. So I should get 10 chickens. So T to open our chat, and I'm going to type in chicken, and I'm going to walk and hopefully see 10 chickens appear above my head. There we go. Another nice one that I like is having flowers appear wherever you walk as well. So there's some great, oops, if I push on C again, exit that. Oh yeah, there we go. So that was just one of the quick tutorials within Code Builder itself. So if I go back to home with the little house up here on the top left, there's heaps more here that you can choose from. They're not that long and you can get the kids to choose the ones that they're interested in, or you can set a few for the kids or yourself to work through to get used to Code Builder. Now, if I just start new project, you'll see all of the different options that are available to you in Code Builder. There's quite a lot there. That's why the little tutorials are really good to start with. They're also fantastic. Those ones are fantastic to do in just a flat world with no features whatsoever. And the kids don't have to be in the same world to practice those tutorials. They can just do it on their own. So let's have a look at, I'll close Code Builder and we'll have a look at this tutorial world. So you can see there's some structures and instructions around the place. So it wants me to start with challenge 1, which is programming my agent to go forward. So it says to move my agent to the start plate, which is this one here, to begin. Now, there's a few different ways we can do this. The quickest way is to teleport the agent or the robot to where I am. So I need to do that with a command, which we practiced last week. So if you skipped last week, go back and have a watch. Otherwise, the quickest way that I like doing this is pressing T to open our chat, /summon and space, and I want to summon my agent, and it will just summon my agent. So we should be able to see my agent is exactly where I was standing. So I'm 2 blocks off the start plate, but that's okay. So I want to get my agent to move through this maze to the yellow block here. That's the first challenge. Now, in order to do that, I need to think about how I'm going to code it. So I want it to, oh, the chicken activated it by accident. But basically I want it to walk forward a certain number of squares. So I'm going to need to count the squares. So 1, 2, 3, oh, it's hard without the black outline. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11. I'm going to guess it's about 11. Also, I've noticed that my agent is facing backwards. This is important because I will show you in 2 seconds. In Code Builder, I'm going to leave the chat command as run. I want my agent to move. When I tell something to move in coding, it's usually forwards and backwards. So if you have a look here, oh, I've also got left, right, up and down. If I press forwards, it's forwards to whichever way the agent is facing, not whichever way I am facing. So I'm going to need to actually tell it to either turn around or walk backwards, which is probably the easiest way to do. Walk backwards 12 steps, and I'm not going to repeat that. I just wanted to do it once. So I'm going to exit Code Builder and type in run, which was the word I chose to use. There we go. It's running backwards. And oh, I counted correctly. So I've landed on the switch, which opened up the barrier that was here. The chicken did it for us. So now I can go on to challenge 2. So now that you can see it gets a little bit trickier each time, because this time we're getting the agent to turn left and then move forward again. So we're changing directions. I know it seems really simple, but for younger students, especially around year 5, year 6 and year 7, that having to turn and then go forwards can be quite tricky for them to get that understanding, because for them left means stepping to the left. They don't it can take a little practice to get used to having to turn left, then move forward. But if you're doing any coding or digital technologies in your classroom already, you've probably come across something like that before. So it's the same concept. So actually, this is a really good tool to use for your digital technologies curriculum stuff on top of Scratch and other existing programs. I'm not going to run through this whole tutorial world, but you can see there's quite a lot of challenges for students to do. You might want to have the students run this world through in 2s or 3s or less, because what will tend to happen is if you had your whole class in the same world, they'd all be trying to do that first challenge and kind of get each other, their agents would be getting in the way of one another. So either have them in this world by themselves or just with 2 or 3 people at a time, not the whole class. But you can see there's lots and lots of challenges for them to work through that get progressively harder in terms of controlling their agent and practicing their skills in telling your agent what to do. So a few other things about agents that are nice to know. So I can summon, /summon agent. Agents can't die, so if they walk through lava or are in the water, they're not going to drown or burn up. They will still survive, whereas a player character or animals, they can die and drown and burn. Other things are in your items under, or if you're in creative mode, which I don't believe I am here, so I won't be able to show you. You can, in creative mode, we were looking at the eggs that spawn animals. There is a spawn agent egg if you ever need to spawn your agent, or you can't find it, or you need to create it. Agents, and I will show you this, are also not affected by gravity. Like at the moment, we're in a survival mode, so I can't fly. So it's quite tricky for me to build in midair. But if I get my agent to move up, when I type in run, I'm going to press T /run. Just run. You can see that my agent can actually move through the air and build and do things in midair, which in this case, because I'm not in creative mode, I cannot do. So one of the worlds or activities I saw a teacher use agents for, which I thought was really clever, was they had set up a dome on Mars or the moon, I think it was, and the agents had to go, the players weren't allowed outside of the dome, but the agents were, and they had to send the agents out to go and collect resources and things off the surface of the moon or Mars or wherever it was, because the agents didn't need oxygen and things like that. So they sent them out on the mission, but they had to be careful about making sure they'd sent the agent off with the correct instructions in order to carry out that task, which in reality is what we'd have to do with robots, making sure we sent them out with the correct instructions and things like that, because robots can go to places that humans can't survive. If you are a world builder or a teacher, or you have the world builder permissions in the world, you can actually also summon everyone's agents to the one place. So if you type in T/summon, and now instead of just typing in agent, another way to type agent is to say @C is for your agent, or @V does all agents. But I'm not a world builder in this one, so it probably won't let me do it. What else? You can get agents to build things. So what I might do is get my agent, let's have a look, to place on move. So place meaning place a block, turn that to true to say yes, I want it to place blocks on move. Let's go, I want it to come back down by 12. And actually I think Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I need to give it an inventory, give it items. Let's have a look. Let's say dirt count 12 in slot 1. Hopefully that will give it 12 dirt blocks. Actually, let's make it something exciting. A blue block, lapis lazuli, to see if it actually works. So let's see, hopefully it'll build a blue tower. Run. Oh. So my agent doesn't even have world builder permissions in this world, so it's not able to build. What I might do is I'll get out of the tutorial world and I'll go to just a blank world that I have permissions over. So under new, if I want a creative mode game, peaceful, and I actually want it to be flat, is a great one for coding or practicing messing around. So if I bring back my agent, open back up my thing, now let's just get it to move forward by 12, and hopefully CT run. There we go. So you can see agents can build quite quickly. So you could get your agent to build a house for you, or start digging for you, or all sorts of things. So they're a really good tool to use to teach your kids coding, because I think it's easy to see the results of the code straight away, then go back and fiddle with the code and change it, and it's quite motivating and fun to do. Did anyone have any questions so far? Anything you wanted to know about? Yeah, so you can delete your old codes. So if you wanted to delete stuff within here, you just drag over here to delete. Otherwise, yeah, back here, oops, I can just, if I click on the cog here, I can click up here and either save it with a name or delete. I can also share over here. I can share it as a link. I was just trying this on another code earlier before I came on, and I could see the code online. I will show you, share my screen and show you very quickly. Share desktop. There we go. So this is what it looks like when I had someone share their code with me, and I opened it as a website in Make Code. And I was just trying to figure out how to get that from here into the game, and I struggled with that step. I'm not sure, Stephen, you know how to get from here back in, get this code back into the game. I think I need to download something else, like an app or something, to help me transfer. But even if you can't transfer, I can at least look at this code here and copy it into my game. So this was a code, Actually, I wonder if it'll, no. This was a code Grant, my partner, had made to help him create buildings very quickly. So he would get the apple and select a start and an end point, and the game would fill in all the blocks in between the start and the end with that certain block. I won't go through that now, but what I'll do is I'll post this link to the Teams so you can have a play with that code yourself. But as you can see, I won't publish that one, from all the different options available, there's a lot you can do with the player. You can teleport players. You can get your player to say things within the text chat. You can get your player or your agent to place blocks for you. You can spawn animals. You can spawn monsters. Now, monsters in survival mode will attack you and can destroy your health if you're in survival mode. You can also, with this one, let me have a look. Yeah, so there's different effects within Minecraft. So in the original Minecraft, you had to go and make a potion and drink the potion, and the potions would give you bad or good side effects, I guess you could say. So you can see here, we can use the code to give yourself a good side effect or a bad side effect through there, through code. You can get your agent to do lots of different things. You can change some of the server commands we were talking about last week, like the weather and the time of the world. Now, again, these codes aren't going to work when you press run. These ones won't work unless you have world builder permissions. So I currently do. So if I try to set the time to night, and I just put that there on run, T run, it will turn to night. However, if I invited a student in here and they weren't a world builder, the night, they would get an error like I did before in the other world when it tried to turn the world to night. So the visitor permissions, if you have the students in as visitors, which means they can't destroy anything, that will still apply. So they'll just get a bunch of errors popping up if they try and do something that they're not supposed to be doing. You can change positions of things. Loops are very, very handy, and it's in the year 5 and 6 digital technologies curriculum. So we can loop forever. We can repeat a certain number of times, but remember, it has to be within, if I want to repeat this, it has to be within the loop. Now, in this case, you'll notice a bunch of my blocks are shaded out. They look funny. They're not fully colored in. This means if I press run, these bits of code aren't going to run. They're not connected in properly. There's nothing connected to that block to get it to start or to get it to go. So I need to connect it to usually a chat command or something like that. The if-else statements for year 6 and above in digital technologies, they need to be able to use these. So for example, if you had, if it's daytime, then do this, else, if it's nighttime, then do this. That is an example of an if-then statement. So that's in the year 6 digital technologies curriculum. Variables, you can make a variable. That's getting into a little bit more complicated things, sort of like a year 8 or 9 level of coding. For example, if I wanted to have a scoreboard and every time my agent touched the plate or a chicken touched the plate, I could make that a variable. So how many times the plate was touched by a chicken, things like that. And if you want to do some math stuff, so there's some math stuff you can do in there, and even more advanced stuff in there. So it can go, you can do quite a lot with it. So even up to the high school level, it is still suitable as a tool to use to be coding. It's not, and in this stage we are still block coding, but if you click up on the little bracket, the curly brackets up here, it'll switch all that code into JavaScript. So in high school, in digital technologies curriculum, it specifies that students have to start using real coding languages. So JavaScript this is what the code would look like if you were just typing it in as a real coding language. So you can switch. What's great about this is you can just switch between the two. So the kids could write something in JavaScript and then flip back to see what it looks like as blocks, or vice versa. If they're just starting to learn JavaScript, that's a great way to do it, to see what it looks like in JavaScript even. So even though it's Minecraft and it seems like it's a game for little kids, there is a lot we can do with high school students as well. It's still very much age appropriate. This tool is really deep, just like Scratch. So yeah, there's a lot you can do with it. There's a lot other people have done with it. I'm not a coding expert, so but I can do most of the basic stuff because it's fairly logical in terms of the names of what's on here, the names of the functions and what they do. And usually when something goes wrong, you just have to look through the code and what you've told the agent or the animal or whatever it is to do. And usually it's a mistake in your code 90% of the time, more than anything else. So yeah, it's definitely worth having a play with. And like I said, it's unique to Education Edition, so it's a really good thing to have a go. If you get stuck, there is also, where did I see it? There's Microsoft Make Code. There's heaps of resources online, so you can actually write some of the code on the website here, but there's heaps of resources online through the Microsoft Communities and the Education Edition website that you can have a look at if you're getting stuck. I'll post a few links to those under the community call on the Teams, so you can have access to them there. Yeah, so Stephen says after a while, students find it's quicker to edit JavaScript than drag blocks around, and that's very true. So yeah, it's definitely worth giving it a go, even if you're not, like I'm not a coder, but after playing around with it, you're not going to break anything. I have my head around coding enough that I can do the logic and reasoning behind a lot of the basic things, enough to teach up to year 8 or 9, and beyond that, I'm probably a bit out of my depth. But yeah, there's heaps of stuff you can do, and highly recommend having a look at all of these little ones here. And you can see even down the bottom, some of the builder ones down here are really good examples to have a look at. And there's some really fun ones. TNT and blowing stuff up is always fun. The kids think it's hilarious. So yeah, have a go at some of those. As for homework, maybe just try one of these things, can be your homework, and share a screenshot on the Teams. Otherwise, I think that's about it for Code Builder from me. Stephen, did you have anything else you wanted to add that I missed?
No, I think that's great. I will share a couple of my favourite links as well in the chat, but I'll stop recording now, and if anyone's got a question, they can jump in. Thanks, Meg.
No worries.